Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Last Call BBS, where today we're gonna play a bunch more 20th Century Food Court. I do want to get back into Chip Wizard Professional, like I said, but I haven't really had taken the time to look at it yet. But before I do that, the reason I didn't just start us in 20th Century Food Court is I got us some more log entries here. So I noticed that there were still two empty entries between the base Sawayama, which I think we got by playing the solitaire for the first time, or maybe by winning it for the first time, and the Kabufuda solitaire. So I was like, oh, okay, these are probably earned by winning solitaire. And yeah, they are. 10 times. I don't want to come across like a solitaire snob or anything, but this solitaire game is boring and no fun. There's no decision making. You just kind of like, okay, that's overstatement. There's not no decision making. But this decision making that does exist is like very simple and uninteresting. And I did not have fun winning this an additional 9 times. But anyway, I did it. And so we have these 2 log entries. And so I guess we should read them, because that's the whole reason I did the thing for. Even though I was pretty low on the totem pole at the American branch, I enjoyed my time at Sawayama. Loved to demo the machines. I don't know if you know, but back then there was a lot of yelling and screaming about Japanese imports, Japanese businesses taking over. Some senator took a sledgehammer to a cheap Japanese television set as a publicity stunt. That's how silly it was. Thankfully, though, most of my customers just wanted to focus on the computers. I made a lot of friends this way, some of them lifelong. Yeah, there was this period in America in like the 80s and 90s. And I'm speaking kind of secondhand here because, to be clear, I was born in 1985. I was not really aware of the stuff that was going on during this time. But there's this period where, for some reason, American culture was convinced that the Japanese were going to take over the world, economically speaking. That's why there's so much Japanese stuff in like cyberpunk that was made in that era. Because, like, well, obviously the future of all technology is Japanese corporations running everything. Like I said, I wasn't fully there, and I cannot speak to what it was that created that impression. It never really made sense to me. And as we can see, it's not really how things have gone. But yeah, there was a real frenzy, panic. American culture is very fear-based, is the thing. And those fears are not generally logical, as fear usually isn't, you know? The home computer industry was exciting, but it was also hard to keep up with. Time and again, the business would be upended, and everything you thought you knew would go out the window. I worked different positions in marketing, distribution, even engineering for a bit. Eventually, the market was just too difficult to stay in, and Sawayama decided to make a graceful exit. I don't blame him. I wasn't too excited about the other things the company made, so soon after that I took a retirement package and rode off, as they say, into the sunset. Yeah, working in hardware during the 80s and 90s would definitely have been... I mean, you know, Halt and Catch Fire already exists. Go watch that. Don't listen to me speculate on it. Not that Halt and Catch Fire is a documentary or anything. You know, it is kind of funny, like, when you really think about it, Chip Wizard Professional is not super different from some other Zachtronics games that I have enjoyed, but there's something about it that just really, like, my interest in it is extremely low. And it probably is the fact that it's just flavored and themed like a 100% normal real world piece of productivity software. If you put a level of theme over top of it that's like, this is alchemy, or you're doing a thing in space, I bet even without changing anything about the mechanics, I would immediately be way more interested. All right, so we're doing ice cream. Dispense ice cream, and then again for small, and again for medium, and again for large. So we have 3 different sizes of ice cream. Hold on, is that true? Are there no medium twists? No. Okay, there is a medium, huh. I guess there just isn't enough room on this page, and they were like, fuck it, we don't need to show all that. So yeah, there is a medium twist. Fine. So we need the ice cream machine. All right, hold on. First things first. I want to test... how do I want to do this? Well, we're going to need a stacker. What I want to test is if the way you get swirl is by firing Choco and Vanilla at the same time. It probably is, right? I guess we'll use this like a sequencer for this. Here, just to make absolutely sure that we have enough time. And I want this to be a sorter so that we just hold the thing in place. Okay. Oh, sure. I should probably dispense a cone. That makes sense. Okay, yeah. So... let me remove stuff we don't need. All right, how does this actually work then? How do we want to do this? We need for... I guess we do probably... This is new, right? I mean, this is just a sorter. Okay. Based on whichever input was last activated. So the correct input doesn't have to be fired at the moment of sorting. That's interesting. Okay, so... I do want a sorter for this, because the sorter will hold the thing in place. And then we send a done signal to it, and it does a through. Okay. And I guess there's no reason for this not to be right at the very end, right? We do actually need a stacker. Okay. I might end up having to change some of this, but like, how do we do the machine logic for what it dispenses and how many times? I want a counter. So we set a counter based on small, medium, or large, right? Fancy counters. Yeah, let's go ahead and here, let's use one of these because it makes it really easy. So like on start, cone. Also, small is 2 squirts, medium is 3, large is 4. And then like while this is sitting on the sorter, we want to fire a -1 every cycle, and when it gets to 0, we fire the through, right? Now as to what it is that we're squirting, this is a situation we'll get to in a moment. This part seems to make sense to me, though. Maybe that's fine there. So for the moment, the stacker is just... We'll just get this out of the way. It's just putting the things together. So yeah, how do we know what it is we're going to do here? We have to set a value at the initial stage. What would be the best machine for tracking that? Actually, so this thing does... This thing effectively has 3 output states, right? If we just leave it sitting around, it can put out a +1, a 0, and the absence of input from it is a -1. Could we use that to rig up? How would you do that? You would use some of these enable multi-mixers. These things are AND gates. Okay, so let's say chocolate is the 0 state. On chocolate, you don't mess with the counter. So the counter's always outputting to chocolate. On 0, we are... No, this isn't going to work. This is wrong. It's like... The idea is like positive... this is tricky because there's only 2 wires, right? So we can't create a situation that reads as chocolate and fires this, reads as vanilla and fires this, or reads as twist and fires both, because that would require us to have two copies of each plug. Am I allowed to buy additional? No, we only have the 1 ice cream machine. We just don't have good data storage here is all. How do we do the conditional? How do we do the conditional? I need to... So we have to do the logic upstream from this thing. This thing can't work logic. Yeah, we really don't. We just don't have good variable storage. So hold on a second. When a thing gets produced, okay, the appropriate variable is only fired once. It's not constant. We could have a scanner right here that is firing constantly though. Is that useful? It's easy enough to run some logic in this thing. Actually, here's a question. Is this... Okay, I'm not saying this is how we're going to solve it, but this works, right? And then you just run the appropriate... Well, there's no way to run the appropriate section of the sequencer, though, because the sequencer... whenever you fire the start command, it always starts at the top. I don't know why I'm having such brain lock on how to make this part of this work. Well, okay, so... Here's a weird question. What if we did do it this way? And we just use whether it's chocolate, vanilla, or twist to set some kind of routing information. We always make a chocolate, and then if the required output isn't chocolate, we just throw that one away. We do have waste bins. They're very expensive. Stores up to 1 product to be discarded. So we'd have to have 2 different waste bins. And then, yeah, we always make a chocolate. Sometimes we throw it away. We make a vanilla if we're not using the chocolate, but sometimes we throw that one away too. It's funny. There's something to be said for that. The thing is, that is the function of this machine, isn't it? We set the routing information. Maybe that does work. Hold on a second. That can't be the intended solution. But what if we just did it that way anyway? So we have like a... So we have a second set of logic here. That... At the end of the fourth cycle... Like... Okay, let me try to construct the logic. Let me see if I can actually do it. So it'd be when it's chocolate, you just set the thing to through, right? But if it's vanilla, can I turn this just to make the wires match? Not that they desperately need to match, but just so that they're not like laying over top of each other all the time. So if it's chocolate when it gets here, sorry, this is wrong. Okay, if it's chocolate when it gets here, you just send it on through. If the thing was vanilla, you send it to there. You send the first thing that comes through that way. And if the answer was twist, you send the first thing that comes through. Oh, right, but sorry. Yeah, they always have to come, they come in through here, so yeah, this gets all screwed up. All right, chocolate goes through, vanilla goes left, twist goes right, arbitrarily. Okay. Then there's like a piece of conditional logic. Oh, we can't throw away the tray though. Sorry, the tray is like critically important. So what we're actually designing here is this thing. Yeah, we're designing just a thing for the cone. Which means I probably want to move all of this logic way back here. Okay. The tray just gets there and waits. Alright. So... through is good. When things go through, they go to the good place. When things go to these sides, this doesn't feel like the intended solution. They get thrown away. I guess actually... yeah, it doesn't matter. Whatever, it's fine. There's a more complicated version of this where we set up logic governing the sorter, but I think I would rather just have the sorter be a hold. This is not going to be the best version of this solution, which I think is not even a good solution, but it is going to be a version that I can comprehend and explain. So, okay. Still the case that the stacker just, once the stacking happens, just send it on through. Send it home, it's good. All right. So, this is extra silly because it's in the case of like a large twist, it's going to waste a bunch of cycles making a large chocolate and then a large vanilla and throwing those away. There are definitely better ways to do this. All right, let's not build this thing. Let's have more faith in ourselves than that. We can figure this out. How do I do it though? What is the better solution? Because the thing is, we can't actually run... Yeah, it's definitely not a sequencer. There's a real answer to this question. So we need... We need something that fires chocolate. We need something that fires vanilla. And then we have to fire them both in some cases. Like, the way my brain keeps wanting to do that is, like, use an AND gate. And when it's both of those things, do like this. But, like, the problem with this is... This works just fine for... making the twist stuff, but now there's no way to make the chocolate or vanilla because again there's physically only one port for each flavor on the logic module. So the sequencer can't be... Yeah, the sequencer can't be dynamically programmed or anything. Oh, also, I'm looking at this and I'm realizing, at the very least, we're going to need one of these. Because, like, this has to be -1, but also... sense has to be the output that makes whatever is the ice cream fire. So that's a thing that's necessary. Does the timing on this work? Let me make sure this part is functional. Oh right, yeah. Nope, that's wrong. Why is that wrong? Oh, right, because this thing is firing on the exit frame as well. So actually all of these need to be 1 point lower. And then this should actually work through the chocolate part of the puzzle. Fence posting, you know? Cool. Okay, we made a machine that can dispense any size of chocolate ice cream. Now we have other problems. I guess... Okay. Here's a thought. What if... What if we have 3 separate counters for this sort of stuff? We have 3 separate counters, and we only actually load the one that refers... Like, each one of them refers to a particular... No, this doesn't make sense. Okay, let me just try to construct something a little bit here. Because we could do... We can do a counter that loads when it's chocolate and a counter that loads when it's vanilla, and they both load when it's twist. And the benefit of that is that we have... That's where the logic's actually getting done. Well, no, but that's not necessary, because this thing... It's the sense output of this where the actual processing is getting done. So the answer is something to do with the way we wire up this output right here. This output is the logic step. How do I use these machines to do this? The more I think about it, the more I am concerned that I can't see any solution that isn't routing stuff to the garbage sometimes. It cannot be right. Okay, we can use one of these, like I said, as a way of producing a this is effectively a variable, right? One of these is positive one of these is negative one. And then this thing is usable in like an AND gate situation. This was my initial thought, and then I backed off, but I want to come back here and re-examine. So, if it's negative, all of this runs just fine. And you have to do this. If vanilla, and this thing becomes positive, then you need something else to happen. Right? So when this number is positive, this logic has to not run. How do we make that be the case? We need this to be checked at sense time, right? So, okay. If you sense and... I'm just going to get this out of the way for the moment. If you sense and the thing was vanilla, the problem is how do we sequentially lock the logic? Right, like effectively, we need exactly one of these to run. Maybe, hold on, maybe chocolate. Let's make chocolate the +1, vanilla the 0. So twist is the -1. Okay. Right, so here we have an actual logic gate. This is like, if the set was chocolate, you do these things. If the set was vanilla, you do these things. Then you can have a set of instructions that you run in either case, or you can have a set of instructions that you run no matter what. How do we use that to create a set of instructions that only runs when they're both true, which is effectively what the twist thing is? We kind of can't, right? Like we have all of the parts that are not that thing. This is just the timer, and the timer part runs no matter what. This is the logic that determines what flavor gets output. So in this case, Right, so this machine works through the first 6 of 9 cases. But it's literally impossible. It's physically impossible for you to use the other cases now because the only inputs here are taken up by things that will only be true when the twist case is not true. So those... Yeah, I don't know. I'm really experiencing like a mental block here. Why can I not put together how this must work? I'll tell you what, it's been a tough couple of days for me, brain-wise. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave this like this. I'm gonna spend some time with it off camera, see what I can figure out. I need to reverse... Yeah, that's a bummer. And we're gonna play some more Dungeons and Diagrams, because I'm always gonna play Dungeons and Diagrams. That's just how it's gonna be until we completely run out of Dungeons and Diagrams to play. Okay, so first of all, treasure room. We know this column does not contain treasure room tiles, so all of these are part of the treasure room. Also, this row does not, so here we go. That's your treasure room. This one, again, we know that it's the bottom 3. We know that it can't be here, so it's definitely in these two these two columns at least. And then it's in one of the 2 columns next to that somewhere. Okay. And I guess it's interesting that only 2 of these are walls, actually. How is that the case? Don't all 3 of them have to... Oh, right, because there's a thing that's not represented here. Yeah, okay. So these 2 rows are all treasure room and wall, which means those are walls for sure. This row has an empty space in it that is an entrance to one of the treasure rooms, but we can't yet know where that is. But that tells us these at least. Then this is a 6, which is to say that the entrance to one of the treasure rooms is on this row, and the hallway running to the entrance to the other treasure room is in this row. They don't unite into a single hallway. We know that. Unfortunately, that doesn't let us draw anything. So most of this column... Okay, but actually that does tell me something. Because if the entrance to the right treasure room were on this row, we know this is the only place it can be. Then this column is all wall from there. And that means that... Yeah, that would make this true. And then we have to... There would effectively, the 2 treasure rooms, the hallway would meet somewhere. And there would only be 1 open space on this row instead of 2. So I think what we know from that is that this is true. This treasure room has an entrance on this row. This treasure room is the one that lets out like here or here. But we don't know which, because we don't know which one of these columns is part of the treasure room. So there is at most 1 empty space next to the Minotaur. That's not enough information to actually figure anything out, though. So 2 of these are definitely walls. 1 of these is open. Yeah, that doesn't tell me anything either. It is interesting that there's only one wall in this whole row, or this whole column, and only one wall in this whole row. I guess, sorry, I do know this. I just don't know which one of those is the hall and which one is the treasure room. Yeah, this is actually really interesting. So there's very few walls here. But how can that be? Okay. The two columns that are unknown, the two columns where we don't know which one of them is part of the treasure room. Whichever one isn't part of the treasure room has two walls in it down here. So that does not leave a lot of walls in this whole like upper left quadrant. It's pretty thin. There's really a large amount of hallway around the Minotaur. So it could be the case that these are both wall. One of the spaces adjacent to the Minotaur is wall, and then the rest of the column is open. My bet is, and I don't think we have enough information to start filling this in, but my bet is this is how this column looks. And it's like the dungeon path, the hallway runs like up the side and then around the top. But yeah, I really don't think we can say anything for certain there. Gosh, I don't feel like we can say anything about this for certain. This might just be a bad puzzle day for my brain. These things happen sometimes, you know? So this could basically all be open. This could be mostly open. Both of those things seem very possible to me. What else do we know for sure? From these numbers, basically nothing. If we could figure out which columns the treasure room here was in, it would be super helpful. Well, actually, so let's see. If these are there, these are there. Okay, I guess we know this, don't we? It must be the case that the hallway emerges north from the space that is the space in this row that is outside of the treasure room. That must be true. Okay, I feel pretty confident about that. It gives us like basically nothing though. It tells us a little bit about these columns. So we know there's got to be a lot of open space. We're going to find that these columns have like a lot of like winding, I guess, in them. Something like, geez, I don't know. How is it even possible for there to be as few walls as this puzzle is telling us there are? That is the question that we have to answer to solve it. And we'll know where the walls are when we solve that, because there's probably, I'm sure there's only one legal arrangement of this very small number of walls that results in a dungeon that fits. So most of these are open. Okay. No, never mind. I was about to try to do something about the spaces diagonally adjacent to the Minotaur, but I don't think we actually can. I was gonna say there's probably a limited number of spaces diagonally adjacent to the Minotaur that can be open, because we have to have the walls closed. So, all right, of the 8 spaces around the Minotaur, we know that either 2 or 3 of them in this column are walls. What does that tell us about the hallway around the Minotaur? Really not very much, like a frustratingly small amount. Let me just nose around. At this point, I'm just looking for one that I can get done relatively easily so I can get some confidence back. I'm feeling a little bit less puzzle competent than I often do. It's very upsetting. So this treasure room, we don't know very much about it. I guess we know this is the way that it's entered. Right? These 3 tiles have to be part of it. Yeah, because the treasure room can't be shaped like this, because obviously that would be problematic. So actually, we know for sure that that's the treasure room. Yeah, I think we know that for absolute certain. So that's a good start. One of these 2 spaces is open, which gives us a lot of information about these monsters. So it could be this one. No, it can't be. If this space is open, that space is open, and these are both closed, and there's not enough walls in that row for that to be the case. So we do know this, which means we know that. And for this to be the case, this has to be open and that has to be closed. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit more productive than what I was doing on the last one. I guess we know that's not open. We know the rest of this is good. I guess we know those are all walls, don't we? One, 2 of those, 2 of these. So this row is mostly open. If there is in fact only one other wall, it would have to be, like, if that's a wall, does this work? Do a little bit of guess and check here. Maybe? No, because this then would be open, but obviously, yeah, that can't be the case. So we know this has to be the wall in the position of the wall in this column, which tells us a bunch of stuff actually. So that's open. These are both walls. These are both open. So this has to be a wall to avoid creating a 2x2. There we go. Okay. It's not that my brain is completely incapable of doing puzzles today. It's that this one's more difficult for me. We'll come back to it presently. So we know that these are the columns that this treasure room is in. We know that this column is all walls aside from the treasure room tiles, which gives us those. I guess we also know that the treasure room can't be adjacent to this guy. So that's the entrance to the treasure room. We know this. This must be a wall, which means this is open, which means that's a wall. Because we have to create our safe dead end here. Those are both walls. This is also open. Oh, this is open, so that's closed in order to satisfy... Wait. Huh. Okay. Reset solution. Hold on a second. I screwed up somewhere. This column was impossible the way I had drawn that. So we know this. We do know that this is walls, right? Has to be. No, does not have to be. It could be the treasure room. We know that this is a wall. And we know that this is a wall. We know that these are the tiles of the treasure room. But actually, yeah, the entrance to the treasure room can absolutely be down. There's no reason that can't be that way. Yes. Okay. This is the column. That's that column, so that gives us a wall position there. And yeah, this seems probably more correct. So that's open, so those are closed. This is in fact all open aside from that. And that means one of these two is the hallway out. In fact, we know this. So there we go. 6 walls in that column. We got there. Yeah, I made a really, really unsafe assumption here. Okay, that's cool. We're good. So this is the treasure room then, yes? Right, because this can't be... Yeah. All right, so that's where that is. We also know these because this is the one exit. So we know that. So we know that. Oops, what am I doing? Wrong mouse button. And to prevent the creation of a dead end... There we go. There we go. You know, just some hungering caverns, that's all. Oh, check out the illithids. And you, what is your deal? This is very fascinating to me. This is extremely good. So, okay. This creature has 2 spaces orthogonally adjacent to it. One of them is a wall, and that wall is the only wall in its row or column, depending on which it is. So that's kind of interesting. It doesn't look like much of an orrery to me. I'm not seeing the orrery part of it, you know? Okay. This column has a single wall tile in it. It must be the wall tile that is adjacent to... The entrance to the treasure room is in this row, and the wall tile is the wall across from the entrance. We know that. So, the wall tiles in the columns, the columns that are east and west of the treasure room are solid wall, but it's really hard to say where those are. Actually, I guess it's not that hard. This is the treasure room, isn't it? Because the positions of the illithids make that the case. And if that's the case, this is true. One of these two is the wall in this column, and the rest of these are open. Pretty sure. Feeling fairly sure. And in fact, yeah, there's only 2 wall tiles in this row, and they're both spoken for. So that's true. These are both open. They have to be, which means that's how you're enclosed. So this has to be a wall. So this is all open. Okay, yeah, that one came together remarkably quickly. There. Got a lot of information very quickly off of that treasure room thing. So there's only 1 wall tile in this column. So it's either here or here, which means this is open, that's a wall, this is all open. So that's a wall and that's a wall. All of that stuff has to be true. And now we have that situation again where like one of these 4 in each column and row is a wall, and the only way to avoid making a dead end is for them to be those 2. Look at them. They're so eager to flay a mind. They just love it. They just want to do it so bad. I kind of love mind flayers. They're like one of the most classic D&D monsters for me. I guess that's probably like just broadly true. My first interaction, so there's only one wall here. So we know these are all open. One of the two spaces adjacent to the monster must be open. This must be a wall because of it. My introduction to Dungeons and Dragons was through my uncle had a bunch of the first edition, the original AD&D books on his bookshelf, and I was fascinated by them. I would just read through those. So basically anything that has a cool picture in the first edition AD&D monster manual, that's the shit I'm into the most. Those are the iconic D&D monsters for me. And the Mind Flayer, or ones where they, where the parts of the text that I could read were cool. So the Mind Flayer really stands out to me in that way. Oh no, sorry, this is backwards. This is all walls. So I just love them, is the point I'm making. We know this is all open, which means this or this is the entrance to the treasure room. We know that's part of the treasure room. And actually, we know these are part of the treasure room. There's not enough walls in this column to block the space off. So one of these two spaces will be a wall. One of these two spaces will be a wall, which means this must be a wall to account for the very small number of walls in this area in general. This also has to be a wall. Yeah. In order for the hallway to work, this is the arrangement these things are in. So 4 walls puts us like that. So one of these, only one of these is a wall. And since we know where the entrance to the treasure room has to be, yeah, that's how that has to work. The House Penumbral. Bad guys love to just take the words in a sentence and just... what if we did them in the reverse order? They always say. And then the other cultist is like, oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, that's absolutely what we should do. That's how villainy works. Right there. I just explained it to you. Aren't you glad to know? So this space above the Demon Prince of Wrath has to be walled, right? This can't be the entrance to his setup because, well, no, right? Like this doesn't work because then you have to have 2 spaces open. Yeah. This cannot be the one entrance. That has to be closed. That's not super helpful, but it does give us something. So the 2 monsters and 1 space adjacent are open. So one of the monsters has an opening to its right or left. The other one has the opening downward. Not immediately super useful. Here we have 3, 4 tiles open. So any tile that's not part of the treasure room is a wall in this column. So we know, sorry, not that. We know this, which means we also know that these are part of the treasure room. Actually, I guess we know this row doesn't have enough space in it for the... it's the monster plus 2 more tiles that are open. So this is definitely all walled up, which means this is the treasure room. Unfortunately, we don't know too much exactly about where the walls are. I guess I also knew that because this is a column of 6. Okay, we know this can't be the opening for this monster because if it is, then this is how you reach it. And if that's the case, then either this tile or this tile also has to be open, and they can't be. So that's definitely a wall. Do we know anything else, though? No, I don't think so. 4 of these 6 tiles are walls. One of them definitely is below one of the monsters, although one of the spaces below one of the monsters is empty. But yeah, that tells us very little, actually. There's a lot of walls in the column and row around the treasure room, which obviously makes sense. Oh, I guess we know this, because there have to be 4 walls in that column. And then that tells us something about the position of the open space here. If this is a wall, then like that. Unfortunately, I think that actually is a valid arrangement. Yes, I think so. Well, I guess we know this is open. One of these 2 tiles is and one of them isn't. Yeah, unfortunately not enough to do anything with right away. If it's this, that's open, closed, closed. Yeah. Both ways that could work are apparently still legal. As far as we can tell right now, still legal. There's a pretty limited number of walls overall here in a lot of parts of the puzzle, which actually makes things really tricky. How do we use these 2 6s to break things down a little bit more, maybe? So up here at the top of this rightmost 6, we have 2 tiles that are adjacent to monsters that absolutely could be either open or closed, and they're both totally fine. Actually, no, sorry, they can't be like this, because then that's what the puzzle is like, and the hallway's broken. So these can't both be open. And if they can't both be open, then they're both closed. Or, well, if they can't both be open, then this one's closed at least. Because this situation is obviously unacceptable. So, knowing that, we have that. Now, this can't be open. Because if it was, then we have this situation. And then that would have to also be open. So that's a wall for sure, which means that's not. And this is. Because if this was open, then again, we have wall and... Oh, actually, no, that's totally... Oh, yeah. If that's open, then the treasure room's completely enclosed. So we know that. We also know that obviously the entrance to the treasure room is somewhere on this column. If that's true, then this is true to keep the hallway open, and so we know the position of a couple of the walls over here. That gives us that to work with. All right, there we go. Some stuff broke. Just had to start checking a little bit. Just a tiny bit of guess and check. So one of these 3 is open, the other 2 are closed. There's not really a lot of wall remaining in the puzzle. So one of these 2 is a wall. And the hallway just routes around it. If it's this one, hallway goes around like that. Block here. Yeah, that seems totally fine. And if it's this one, the hallway runs around like that, block here, and then one of these three is a further south extension of the hallway. All seems pretty legit. Only one of these tiles is a wall. So we know that there is the entrance. One of these is open, and so one of the tile to its left is also open. We know that. Okay, and we know that the entrance to the treasure room isn't in this 3 row, because if it is, then we know this tile's also open, and then this is the case, and that would mean there's this weird pocket down here. So actually, we know for a fact that's a wall. I guess we know this, don't we? Because, like, here, where's the wall going to be? It can't be there, because then you have either a 2x2 or a dead end. You have something screwy. Here creates an obvious dead end. So the wall must be here. These must be open. That is closed. And if it goes down here like that, then this is the only position that we can put that wall in to make the hallway make sense. So this has to be wall so that this is a proper dead end. Ooh, wait. Uh-oh. Right? Those have to be walls to satisfy this row. No, this is fine. Yeah, that's a wall. And that's a wall. Huh. I don't know. I spooked myself for a second there. I thought I'd really screwed this up. We're at the hour already, but like, let's just see if I can wrap up this row. Finishing a row every time we play this game is, I think, a pretty reasonable way to approach it. So this is the treasure room. And that's a hallway out of the treasure room. We know that that must be, and that must be, walls. Okay. These are also all walls because the treasure room has to work the way it works. If there's only one space open in this row, it has to be here so that we don't create a weird dead end. And if that's true, then this is also open. This one's pretty straightforward. This one went fast. Here's the thing. Krogmar doesn't know how to build a dungeon. Krogmar doesn't know anything about masonry, anything about like puzzle design. He didn't go to game design college. He went to smashing things with a club college. And he graduated with a 4.0. That is the number of his professor's heads that he smashed with a club. Okay, so one of these two is a wall, which means that the other one is open, which means that the hallway turns. So this has to be a wall. I don't know that that's immediately useful, but it is true, I'm pretty sure. So there's one more open space in this column. 2 open spaces in this column. Interesting. One of these 2 is blocked. One of these 4 is blocked. So it's like that or like that. But in order for this to be a valid arrangement, these both have to be walled, don't they? Yeah, because we couldn't have a thing here and a thing here leading around this wall, because that creates the bad situation. So does that mean this has to be a wall? I think it might. this is here. I mean, this is a totally valid arrangement. That's also a totally valid arrangement. Yeah, okay, that's tricky. So we know this is wall. If this is wall, then that's also wall. So then these are open. If there's only one more wall in each of these columns, it can't be down here because that would lead to a 2x2 space being open. So yeah, we know that then. And that means this is that. Okay, that means all this stuff. There we go. That's useful information. There we go. That's how that was supposed to look. All right. I got there. Krogmar's no match for me. And finally, the catacombs of the Lich's army. Gosh, Lich's always have so much money. Where do they even get it? Okay, so this column, everything that's not part of the treasure room is just wall. That's easy enough. In this column, so we know the treasure room can't extend into this column for obvious reasons, which means that these are the columns of this treasure room. If that's the case, we know obviously that the treasure room is not in either of those spaces. So here's this treasure room. Okay, I screwed up already. These are all tiles in this treasure room. Every valid layout has these as tiles, which means all four of those are walls and also one of these two. That is certain. Okay, here, this tile is a part of every valid treasure room, which means that these are the columns of this treasure room. Which means none of these can be part of the room. I guess actually this technically totally can be. It is not safe to put a block here. Also, we know that is a block. Okay. Yeah, it's not safe to put a block here because, right, this is a valid situation. We also know that this stuff is all true, which tells us that at the very least, these are walls. Then this column still needs 3 walls, which means one of them has to be here because they certainly can't all be up here. What else do we get? One of these 2 spaces is empty, but that's not terribly useful information by itself. 2 of these are walls, and if that is the case, one of them must be this. So it certainly couldn't be these 2 closed and that one open, for obvious reasons. And that means this is definitely an open space. Okay, so that is the way you get into the treasure room. Okay, that's a lot of information. Wait, is that not? It's like this runs up here. How did I... Oh. I don't know why I thought that had to be alternating. Yeah, it's perfectly fine for both of those walls to be in that row. In fact, not just fine, but literally mandatory. Okay, so if we finish this puzzle, we will be exactly halfway through Dungeons and Diagrams, and that is my guess, is that is going to be a log entry. So back to this thief's dilemma. Ain't it just? So if these two are both walls, then also one of the tiles adjacent to the Minotaur is a wall and nothing else in the column is. That seems feasible. If these two are both walls, then also this whole column is open. Frankly, also feasible. Yeah, I think we're just going to have to test something. I can't deduce enough information here. All right. I guess here's another thought. This one is telling us something fairly important. Now, obviously, it could be the case that, like, this is the way out of the treasure room. This runs all the way along here. Yeah, it's pretty... Gosh. It's pretty easy for this row to only have one wall. And it could be basically anywhere. The only place it can't be is... No, never mind. It could be anywhere. Yeah, really rough. Basically everything here can be anywhere. Okay, there's exactly one remaining wall in this column. Let's work with that. So if it's here, it can't be here, actually. Because if it's here, then this space is open, which means these are closed, which means that's a dead end. So we know this is open. That's something. Piece by piece. Brick by brick, we're going to build this house of golf. So if it's here, this feels pretty legal. Right? That's open. That's a totally valid situation. The hallway runs like that, right? Totally could be. If it's here, this is all open. Again, hallway stuff, totally fine. So either the wall is here, or this is the side that's open to the Minotaur, is like the important piece of information. I guess actually we know this can't be the case, though. Because both of these have to be open in that case. Yeah. No, this has to be the opening. Because if both of these are open, then you have the situation where this must be open, because otherwise you've created a dead end. Which means those are closed, which means, yeah, it is definitely illegal for this space to be closed, which means that we actually do have some information to work with. Now, the hallway could extend out. This could just be a hallway that runs past. It could be a hallway that comes up from here and goes either or both ways. So it's not a huge amount of information, but it definitely is something. We don't yet know if this is the open space in this column. Could be. I guess we know this can't be the open space in the column, though. It can't be the case that this is open and that's a wall. And that's useful. That's, we're narrowing this row down quite a bit. So 1, 2, and that's the rest of the treasure room. Or these two spaces are dead. This is the treasure room. Yeah, those both feel very doable, or very feasible still. Very much could be the case still. There might be something that I'm missing here. That's entirely possible. We don't have any idea. This absolutely could be a wall. I guess, okay. We have a couple of columns here that only have one more wall tile. So let's like talk about these. Let's try to figure this out. How many valid positions are there for the wall that is still in this column? This seems fine. You know, the thing runs up here like this, and then it runs out like that, connecting to the one tile in this row that is open. That seems completely unproblematic. But this is impossible because dead end, so we know that. And if this is open, that does give us some information. This seems fine. This can't be the case. This must be open. This also is fine. No, this is not fine. This is also open because otherwise we have a problem in the corner. So that is the position of that wall. Good. Okay. If that's the case, this tile has to be open. Like this thing here can't have a wall to its left, and so this must connect through there. And we know that these can't both be walls, which means that this is... Oh, no, it doesn't mean that. Shit, it doesn't mean that at all. Well, actually, exactly one of these must be a wall. This has to be a wall. So that tells us that the corner here can't be walls. Okay, now we actually know where the treasure room is. That breaks a lot of stuff, actually. This is a wall. This is not... So this is open. If that's open, then this is open, and so that is closed. That's definitely open. These two are both walls. These two are both open. Two of these three are walls, and it's not... Yeah, can't be that one. These are both open, and that means this is open. There we go. There we go. What dilemma? Who among us is having a dilemma right now? Interesting. Nothing, huh? It does seem like there must be two more related to this, though, right? I'm going to have to do so much engineering. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. All right. Well, that's content. That's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When y'all come back next time, I guess probably circuits. Probably it's circuits time. I'll have a look at it. Or when you come back next time, maybe I will just play Dungeons and Diagrams the whole episode. I don't know. I'm leaving you in suspense. You can't help but come back next time and see what's up.